When you
Your WavyOcho, I'm gonna react to the time Mick Foley left WWE and went to TNA. Y'all remember his TNA days, bro? Tell me down below how y'all feel about his TNA days, bro. He even lasted. It lasted about like 3 years or something. 3 years, 2008 to 2011. So yeah, bro.
think of the legend that is Mick Foley, you get flashbacks and think of the crazy spots dating back to his time in companies like ECW, WCW, and the WWE. But what if I told you he had a brief stint in another major wrestling company, being TNA? Yes, Mick Foley was in TNA at one point, the same company that saw matches like Ultimate X and gave stardom to wrestlers like Samoa Joe and AJ Styles. But how did Mick Foley, the hardcore legend...
I ain't gonna lie, you can't lie. TNA has some creative gimmick matches like Ultimate X, Steel Asylum, you know, all that, bro. Like TNA has some they get creative with the gimmick matches.
end up in TNA of all places.
Lethal Lockdown, like, you know.
After being retired by the game, Triple H in 2000 in a classic Hell in a Cell match, Mick Foley would stay out of singles competition.
That backdrop that he took was OD crazy. I ain't gonna lie.
For only 4 years. Then he would come back at the 2004 Royal Rumble and start a great mini feud with a young Randy Orton.
24,
The feud saw Mick Foley team up with none other than The Rock at WrestleMania 20, reforming the Rock and Sock connection against Evolution. Afterwards, we saw Foley take on Orton in a great no-holds-barred match at Backlash 2004 for the Intercontinental title. Foley and Orton both took some crazy bumps here, and this match really showed that Foley actually had a lot left in the tank.
That match made Randy Orton. That match was the best Randy Orton match ever. He even said this was his favorite. It made Randy Orton to a star, though.
After Foley's great little resurgence in 2004, he was used pretty sporadically over the next 2 years, really not doing much at all, besides a Mankind appearance at Taboo Tuesday and a few appearances at some small indie shows. Until WrestleMania 22, where Foley finally looked to get his career-defining moment, and boy did he. Foley and Edge put on one of, if not the best hardcore matches ever, and on the biggest stage possible, being WrestleMania. After going through a flaming table and losing to Edge, Foley would stick around making appearances here and there for
Yeah, bro, that flaming table spot was crazy. Was the greatest moment, one of the greatest moments of WrestleMania history.
WWE, even getting a WWE title opportunity at Vengeance 2007. Then, after getting eliminated in the 2008...
in that same year, I'm talking about 2006, that same year, he feuded with Ric Flair. He had that, I Quit match with Ric Flair. And after that, he was not seen. He had that crazy, bloody match with Ric Flair.
Royal Rumble, and making a brief appearance.
She lost, by the way.
At Mania 24, Foley was gone from WWE television, leading to most fans to assume the hardcore legend was finally retired. Meanwhile, Foley was noticeably coming to his last few years in the ring with WWE. TNA, on the other hand, was just getting started. After being founded in 2002 by Jeff Jarrett and his late father Jerry, TNA aimed to fill that hole in the wrestling industry.
And mind you, TNA was in its prime. TNA had its prime before, bro. Like,
after ECW and WCW
all the talent, all that,
were both bought by WWE, and TNA would excel greatly at being an alternative. For starters, they had a 6-sided ring, which at the time, and still today, is so unique, with fans still wanting 6 sides, till this day, more than a decade later. They also had matches like Ultimate X, Lockdown, and King of the Mountain. But as the years went on, and TNA's numbers went up, they moved further and further away from being that alternative. TNA would exacerbate this claim by shockingly announcing on September 3rd, 2008, that Mick Foley, at the ripe age of 43, would be joining the TNA roster. Foley's first live appearance in the Impact Zone happened a month later, on October 2nd, which saw him instantly get slotted into a main event storyline as he was introduced as Jeff Jarrett's special enforcer for his matchup against Kurt Angle, then was eventually revealed as the co-owner of TNA alongside Jarrett.
Kurt Angle had in TNA that year. Kurt Angle had the best matches in 2008. The likes of Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, you know, Abyss, you know, who else? Christian, yeah, he has some fire matches. He had some fire matches that year.
Wacky if you ask me, but you can't expect any less
Jeff Jarrett
from TNA in 2009. Foley's first match would be a 6-man tag team hardcore match, which saw team up with AJ Styles and Brother Devon against Booker T, Scott Steiner, and Billy Gunn, who was supposed to be Kevin Nash but got replaced due to a staph infection. So yeah, Foley's TNA run wasn't starting off too hot, and it also didn't help the fact that his body, after the years of bumps, was not capable of going out there every week, but that didn't stop TNA, not in the slightest. After 2 tag team matches on Impact, Foley would be rewarded a TNA World Title opportunity at the next pay-per-view, which was Lockdown, and there was no way TNA was going to put the World Title on a broken down Mick Foley.
But they did.
Right? Sadly, that wasn't the case. Foley would indeed defeat the Icon Sting for the TNA World Title in a 15-minute steel cage match in the year 2009. Sounds crazy, right? Because it absolutely was. You had stars like AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, Bobby Roode, and legit so many other guys that could have got built up into a world title. But nope, Mick Foley in 2009 was world champion. Foley would then defend his world title at the next pay-per-view, Sacrifice, against Sting, Kurt Angle, and Jeff Jarrett. And although the in-ring for this match wasn't up to par with teenage standards by any means, I thought the stipulation itself was pretty cool, which resulted in a nice match. The stipulation was the ultimate sacrifice, which saw each participant put something on the line. After losing the world title in a King of the Mountain match, Foley would once again be given a world title shot, but this time it was against Kurt Angle, which resulted in an absolute snooze fest of a main event. Even Kurt Angle couldn't carry Foley to a great match in 2009, which creates the question, why put the...
Because Foley was out of his prime, like he can't... You know, I don't think Foley is that type of wrestler, you know. Is that like, you know, like technical wrestler. He's more like, like a hardcore type of wrestler, you feel me?
Title on
a stunt devil, you know, a daredevil.
Foley in the first place. Besides having a recognizable and
Foley is not that type of wrestler. He's not a Kurt Angle or Bryan Danielson, you know.
Popular champion.
Or Chris Benoit, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels. He's not that type of wrestler.
Like Foley, I can't really see any upside to him winning a world title this late into his career. After this, TNA higher-ups came up with the great idea to give Foley the Legends title, which he would only hold for a month after beating Kevin Nash, then getting beat by Kevin Nash. Yes, they gave Foley another random short title reign, which once again sparks the question, why even give Foley a title in the first place?
Right, so he could drop it to Kevin Nash, you know.
First, Foley would then start
also out of his prime as well
to stay in his lane and only have no disqualification matches. Before finally leaving TNA, Foley would actually have 2 great matches with the likes of Abyss in a Monster Ball match, then with Ric Flair in an insane last man standing match that saw both bleed buckets and take some crazy bumps for their age. Foley's TNA run can ultimately be summed up to one word if you ask me. Why? I'm sure the company needed some good press and Foley maybe needed a good payday, but Mick Foley as your company's world champion in 2009 is just shameless. And it's no wonder, barely 5 years later, TNA was basically in the mud. Foley would leave TNA in 2010, then shockingly look to make a comeback in the WWE. But fortunately, after not being able to be cleared by doctors, that was unable to happen. And after a hilarious moment with Santino at the 2012 Royal Rumble, Mick Foley, the hardcore legend, would finally call it quits.
Okay, that's the vid. So yeah, bro, let me know what y'all think about Mick Foley, his run in TNA. You feel me? Like, he didn't really do much in TNA anyway, so his TNA run was kind of short, like, you know. But like, if you're a Mick Foley fan, let me know, like, what is your favorite Mick Foley match in TNA that you like. Alright, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. You guys know the vibes. We'll be checking out you are.